In our last lesson, we talked about the problem of the limbic system, the survival brain, overpowering the prefrontal cortex where decision-making and impulse control take place. This is also a problem that the Navy SEALs have to navigate every time they go into battle. In the midst of battle, a Navy SEAL's limbic system is ready to fight or flight. But the SEAL is trained to re-engage his prefrontal cortex so that he can remain calm and think clearly to make good decisions. They do this through a simple but powerful breathing exercise. Navy SEALs are trained in something called combat breathing that is designed to help them stay calm and think clearly in high-stress situations. This breathing technique helps them think more clearly because the prefrontal cortex gets more oxygen and therefore operates more effectively. As we discussed in our last lesson, sexual arousal impairs the ability of the prefrontal cortex to function effectively in making moral judgments and controlling impulses. Getting more oxygen to this part of the brain increases its effectiveness in these crucial areas. Deep breathing is the first step of a process that we want to equip you with to effectively battle sexual temptation. The tool is called BRACE and is an acronym that addresses the brain issues of sexual temptation as well as gives biblical and practical steps to resist. BRACE begins with breathe deeply. As we said earlier, when we breathe deeply, we are getting more oxygen to the prefrontal cortex, which is in charge of moral decisions and impulse control. Most people breathe shallowly, but we must practice deep diaphragmatic breathing like the Navy SEALs. You inhale through your nose slowly and steadily for 4 seconds. Your stomach should expand out. Then you exhale slowly and steady through your mouth for 4 seconds, and your stomach should retract. Put your hand on your stomach to make sure you're breathing correctly. For 4 seconds, breathing in, and then 4 seconds, breathing out. Your stomach expands, and then your stomach retracts. Once you start breathing deeply, you should move to the second step while continuing with the same breathing until step 2 is complete. Step 2 is remember the truth. Remembering the truth about the consequences, about God, your future goals, and your identity. This addiction isn't who you are. All of these help re-engage the prefrontal cortex where higher reasoning takes place based on morals, values, goals, and consequences. Create some immediate short-term consequences for acting out. In addition to confessing to your accountability partner, pick some consequences that you won't like not eating for a day, paying a fine, running 10 miles. Remembering the fact that acting out is reinforcing the behavior that you want to quit is re-engaging the prefrontal cortex. Many men memorize Bible verses to quote to help them remember the truths about God, acting out, and their identity in Christ. We have some suggested verses in the response section after this video. Once you've spent 3 or 4 minutes breathing deeply and meditating on the truth, you're ready for the next step, the accountability call. Call an accountability partner and let him know you're being tempted. Even if you have to leave a message, it's important to ask for help because knowing they will ask you about it later will help you resist. Making the call often makes the difference of whether you act out or not, so don't skip it. The last step of BRACE is escape the situation. Fleeing the temptation means leaving isolation or at least removing the temptation, like turning off your computer or TV. Leaving the isolated place to engage others in a public area diffuses the temptation. Escape to healthy outlets, like hanging out with friends, working out, walking, or reading. BRACE isn't just about avoiding the behavior, but you're building new pathways for your mind to travel when hit by temptation. Each step is important in the process. Use BRACE when you're tempted, even with a thought, because every time you travel this new pathway, you're making it stronger. Repetition got you into this addiction, and repetition will help get you out. Instead of temptation leading to sin, allow temptation to cause you to build new pathways and renew your mind with the truth. Practice BRACE 3 times a day, even if you aren't tempted. To practice, think of a common trigger, but obviously nothing explicit, and then practice BRACE. You can text your accountability partner instead of call when practicing. You are training your brain that a sexual urge doesn't have to lead to acting out, but can actually lead to meditating on the truth. This shrinks brain circuitry of unwanted behavior and helps strengthen new ones based on the truth. Each time you resist and practice, it reinforces the new pathway. If you want to get stronger on the bench press, but you only do 2 or 3 repetitions a week, you won't improve. In the same way, you will need to practice brace to see results. God promises that transformation of your life comes by renewing your mind. And that's what brace will help you do.